Hi, this is Dr. Marc Kossmann, the video marketing doctor, and I've got another business spotlight interview for you. Today, I want to introduce you to Ramona Fasula, and she's the owner of Wellness by Ramona. And also, she's the author of a book, A Health Coach's Guide to Heart Health. Now, it's New Year's resolution time for a lot of folks. If that involves shedding a few pounds for you, well, I'm going to suggest you expand that and focus on how could food be used as medicine and help you build a much healthier life. That's what you're going to learn from Ramona from her work. But of course, Business Spotlight Interviews is primarily about helping you discover how you can grow and promote a professional practice or business yourself. Well, I think you're going to learn a lot of that from Ramona as well. She's been on fire building her practice, and she's come up with some really important strategies that come out in this interview. I think you're going to be able to use very similar things for yourself. For example, LinkedIn. She's a power user. She's been using LinkedIn to network her way into some really powerful relationships. These have landed her radio interviews and media exposure. Now she's even got her own radio show, as well as connecting to the CEOs that make up a big part of her market. Listen, LinkedIn is a powerful business building platform, and a lot of people are not getting anywhere close to tapping into its power. So check out what Ramona is doing. Listen to how she's using LinkedIn to grow her practice. You're going to come away with some great ideas that you can put to work in your own business building right now and in building your own professional practice this year. Today, I am speaking with Ramona Fasula of Wellness by Ramona. So, Ramona, tell us a little bit about what you do and what it's all about.
Okay, so I am a certified holistic health coach, and as you mentioned, I own a company called Wellness by Ramona. And the whole premise of what I do is to teach people how to use food as medicine to prevent and reverse disease. Food is such a powerful healer, and unfortunately, we don't see it that way in this country. And I try to teach people that good health is not in a pill bottle. It comes in the form of food. And like I said, that's the whole premise of what I teach people. I teach them to kind of change their mindset and see food in a different way. And I've worked with people who have everything from cancer to heart disease to diabetes to fibromyalgia. You name it. I've helped a lot of people in really teaching them how to make the right changes so that they can enjoy good health.
Well, that really is kind of fascinating. So you're kind of taking the concept of you are what you eat and putting it to, well, I guess to say that you're putting it on steroids is probably a bad choice of words, right?
Yeah, you don't want to say that. But yeah, you really are.
You are enhancing the saying to another degree.
Exactly. And like Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. And that's exactly what I teach people, all about the healing properties of food.
Yeah, it seems like as a culture, we're kind of bent on the concept of finding the one nutrient that we can identify and extracting it from the food and then putting it into some kind of pill form or, rather than focusing on the fact that maybe it works best in its natural environment as a whole, right? I mean.
Yeah, and I don't really agree with that. I don't really recommend supplements too much to people because it's still processed. And a lot of people don't realize that. You're taking a capsule or a pill, and they're processed. So if you can change your diet and get the nutrients that you need from food, then there's no need to go the supplementation route.
Well, I'm completely with you, Ramona, because I think what happens is, scientifically people identify the one variable that they've come to understand without realizing that by pulling it out of its context, they might be creating all kinds of unwanted side effects. That's where we always talk about that, right? You create a medicine that's supposed to do something, but then because it's not part of its original whole, and it might be putting other things out of balance, then you're treating, you take another medicine now to treat the side effect for the medicine that you're taking to treat the original problem, and round you go.
Yeah, it's a cycle, and it's toxic. The pills are toxic. It's not natural, but food is natural.
Yeah.
When you're eating your spinach and you're eating your broccoli, and God, I can go on and on about different types of green leafy vegetables, and that's where you need to get your nutrition from food,
now,
from natural whole foods.
How did you even get into all of this? How did you come to want to do this?
Well, I've always been into health and fitness. Ever since I was little, I could remember I was 8 years old and I was exercising with my older sister. And it just kind of stuck with me. And then my dad, when he became diabetic, my mom started getting into, natural things. And so, I learned a lot through her. And then my background is actually in finance, and I lost my job
Wow, that's an interesting transition.
Yeah, well, I lost my job in 2010, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And my one friend, she said, what are you talking about? You're great with people. You've always been into health and fitness. She said, find a nutrition program and start your own business. So I think I was upset for about an hour of losing my job, and then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to own my own business. I never knew what I wanted to do, but now the opportunity kind of presented itself, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to do this. There's a serious health crisis, and people need me to kind of steer them in the right direction. So the next day I enrolled in nutrition school, and then one certification led to another. I was lucky enough to train under Christina Pirillo for 2 years, and I don't know if you're familiar with Christina, but
yeah, it's not my field, so I'm not familiar with it. But
okay, she has a show on public television called Christina Cooks, and she's won Emmys for it. She travels all over the world, really teaching people, just like what I'm doing, how to use food as medicine. She had her own health issues. She had leukemia when she was 25, and she cured it with a macrobiotic diet. So it was then she realized the parallel between nutrition and eating right and being well. So, the rest is history. She's been well for 25, 30 years, and she's teaching other people how to do it. So I was lucky enough to train under her, and I tell her all the time, I learn from the best, because she is just a wonderful woman, and she's so knowledgeable about health and wellness. You ask her questions, and you can't stump her.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've tried, and it doesn't work. She knows so much about natural health, and she's one of the leading natural health experts in the country right now.
Yeah, well, isn't it funny how sometimes something in your life just kind of happens, like, you're talking about a job loss, and it's kind of like you're being kind of tossed out of the nest and finally having to fly and really end up doing what you're clearly very passionate about. I mean, you can hear it in just how you talk about these things, that this really matters to you.
It was definitely a blessing. It was definitely a blessing, and I know that people really need me. I read a statistic the other day, and it said that by 2020, 82% of men and 73% of women are going to be obese. And obesity is now considered a disease, by the way. But that's almost the entire population.
It's
that's really alarming.
Yeah, and
very alarming.
Going to continue to put the cost of healthcare through the roof.
Exactly. It's going to go out of the healthcare system.
I know you've actually written a book as well as part of launching your business here. So tell us a little bit about that.
I have. It's called A Health Coach's Guide to Heart Health, and it's available on Amazon. And the reason I wrote this book is because almost 2 years ago, my mom had a heart attack, and she's doing really well, thankfully. But
glad to hear it.
The scary thing about heart disease is that you don't really know something's wrong until something bad happens. So I know there are a lot of other people were in my mom's position. So I wanted to write this book to prevent heart disease. And heart disease is largely preventable. I mean, there is a genetic component, but it is a largely lifestyle.
Yeah,
so
it's very clear. We don't eat well, we sit on our butt, and we don't get enough exercise. And
very true. Very true.
It is killing us.
So this is 11 steps to heart health. If you follow these 11 steps, then your chances of developing heart disease are going to be reduced significantly. I don't want people to have to go through, what my mom went through. I watched my dad passed away from complications from diabetes, and then I had to, deal with my mom going through what she went through. But like I said, it's largely preventable.
Well, and you're a living example through your folks. I mean, about how serious this stuff really is, and how important it is to pay attention and take it seriously and do something about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, in your work, you work primarily one-on-one, or how does one work with you?
I do work one-on-one, and group classes. It's actually something that I'm going to start launching as well. But right now, I work with with people one-on-one, and I customize programs based on whatever their needs are. So someone who has heart disease is not going to get the same program that, of someone who is battling cancer. So it's very different, and it's very customized towards that person. And as I mentioned before, I've worked with people that have everything from heart disease, diabetes, cancer, celiac disease is coming up a lot.
Yeah.
I actually took a class a few months ago to learn more about it, because I felt that, wow, this is really coming up a lot, and I really need to be educated on it. So I do have some clients that have celiac disease as well. So, I look where the needs are, and then I make sure that I educate myself, on these different topics so I can really help my clients.
Now, you've mentioned also that you've really started focusing on CEOs. I mean, what's that about?
Yes, well, I always wanted to work with business owners, and then I really started looking into CEOs. Because obviously, they have that stressful lifestyle. They do a lot of traveling, they go to amazing restaurants, and they may not eat in the healthiest fashion. And another thing that really, that really had an impact on me, I read a report, and it was saying that they posed a question to people. They said, what do you think has the most impact on a CEO's performance? And some people said it was their education. Some people, their education, their experience. That's something other people had said. But it's actually their health. Their health has the biggest impact on the performance of a CEO. And it made sense to me, because every decision that you make, your health affects that. It affects your brain power.
Yeah.
CEOs need that brain power to make the decisions and to kind of figure out strategically the vision for the company. And if they're not firing on all cylinders, that could mean some not so great decisions for the company. And of course, it affects the employees as well. Health affects everything. It really does affect everything.
Well, you're so right. And, it's so obvious when you say it, but it's so easy to take it for granted because, you focus on a CEO and you start focusing on, skills and things like that, and you almost take for granted. Well, yeah, but of course, without health, everything is impaired. They're not going to be operating at full capacity.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I work with a lot of CEO peer advisory groups. And, I say to them, these groups focus on how to make the business more effective. But health should be the first step, because the health affects the decisions that the CEO makes to make their business more effective. So you have to start with health. And they get that. The people that run these different CEO advisory groups, they understand that. So, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn connecting with different chairs from, everybody from Vistage International. The CEO Trust is another group that I'm working with, Renaissance Executive Forum. So they get it, and I think that CEOs are getting that as well, that they really need to focus on their health in order to make better decisions. So
it makes total sense now.
Yeah.
You mentioned LinkedIn, and of course that makes me scratch my head and start thinking about the fact, well, you are doing all these wonderful things, but you are, of course, also a business, and you're developing a business, and you're trying to grow a business, and you just mentioned LinkedIn as one of the things you're using to try to reach out and connect to people. We're all being clearly massively impacted by changes that technology and culture are bringing to us through internet, social media, video, audio, all of this great stuff. Mm-hmm. How do you see that either, impacting your industry or helping you grow your business personally?
Oh, absolutely. I love LinkedIn, and I think people don't use LinkedIn the way they should. I kind of feel like some people just kind of meet people, collect names, and then that's it.
Right.
But you have to work the contacts that you're making. So I send out invitations to, the types of people that I want to meet. For example, chairs from Vistage International. I send them an invitation. A lot of them are connecting with me, and then I just send them a friendly email, give them a background of what I'm doing, and then, I'd love to talk to you about ways that we might be able to work together to support each other's businesses. And they love that, because it's not, how can you help me? It's, how can we help each other?
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. So I've had a lot of luck with, working with LinkedIn and connecting with some amazing people around the country that I'm going to start, working with and launching new initiatives with as well.
So, there's a great example of you reaching out and using the power of social media to find people and connect to them. And I think you make an excellent point that, social media doesn't work very well as a passive medium. It's social media. So you have to connect and converse and build a reason for people to connect to you. What about the flip side? How would someone find you if they don't know to look for you?
Okay. Well, I do have a website.
Okay.
I do have a website. It's www.wellnessbyramona.com.
All right.
And I'm also doing a lot of writing as well. I write for South Jersey Moms magazine.
Okay.
And I also just started writing for the CEO magazine, and they're located in Texas. And I'm really excited about that, because one of the things I'm going to start doing is videos. I'm going to be doing like the health tip of the week, and I'm going to be posting that on their website. So
that's excellent. Yeah.
So I'm really excited about all these things that are coming up, and LinkedIn kind of provided a platform for me to meet and connect with these people. I use Skype to talk to different people, and that's something. I'm not a very technical person, and I started using Skype about a month and a half ago. I spoke to somebody in the UK.
Yeah.
And once I discovered that, I thought, you know what? Geography is no longer an issue. I can work with people all over the world.
Isn't it amazing?
Doing what I do.
Skype is fantastic. I'm actually recording our conversation right now on Skype. I mean, it's one of my favorite tools. It is just incredibly powerful that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. And I'm excited. I mean, I can help people all over the world. So, I know I have a lot of work to do, because other countries are facing, problems as well as far as
unfortunately they're following our lead, aren't they? That's the problem.
Yeah.
We're teaching the world how to eat industrial food that is not going to serve them very well in the long run.
This is true, and I didn't even realize that the UK has a big obesity problem too. And the person that I spoke to, it's not advertised though. I think in our country, the whole world knows that we're facing, a serious health crisis here, but I don't think it's advertised as much in other, countries. But yeah, he had told me, he said, we have a big obesity problem here and we really need your help. So
yeah, it's not the thing we should be exporting.
Exactly. You put McDonald's and all these fast food places, and people started eating more processed food, and this is the consequences of it.
Yeah, no doubt. So you mentioned writing articles. So you've got some article writing that you're doing. You've got a plan to do some videos. I mean, I think I really want to underscore that for people to understand that, one of the coolest things about all of this technology that we have is, what you said about social media, the ability to kind of find people on your own, to reach out and connect and build your network, but also to create content. I mean, it's been said by any number of people that really, in this day and age, we almost all have to start thinking of ourselves as a publishing company. No matter what your industry is, if you can think of yourself as a content producer in whatever medium and media you feel comfortable with, it's what you put out for people to find so that they can find you because they're searching their problems. It'd be lovely to think that everyone on the planet who is interested in video marketing is going to immediately know to call Dr. Marc. Anyone who has a nutrition issue immediately knows to call Ramona. But, that would be silly. They don't know who we are, and we're not relevant until they've researched their problem and connected to us. And what you're doing with the article writing and creating content is, as far as I know, no one has found a better way to do it than that, because you're putting things out that feed information out there for people to find. They have a way of sampling your expertise right off the bat and know, hey, Ramona sounds like she's an intelligent person. She's making sense in this article. I like what she's saying. And hopefully they're kind enough to give you a little link at the bottom of each article that sends people your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I read somewhere as well, and you would be the expert on this, but I think they said by next year 90% of all advertising will be done through video.
Yeah, it's the growth of video is explosive for a number of reasons. Now, I'm always a little bit leery of the statistics about, what percentage of the web is going to be video because, it depends how they're measuring it, right? I mean, if you're going to measure it by volume of bandwidth, video is, of course, going to crush everything because they're huge amounts of data. So it's very easy for video to crush it. But I think it's both ways. I mean, I think one of the trends that really drives this, well, two main trends in my opinion. One is that people love video. I mean, they would rather watch than read in many an instance, and they'd rather have you show me what you're talking about. So if you're trying to show people how to prepare something to create a better nutritious meal out of something, they want to see you do that. They don't just want to read the instructions to do that. But the other thing that's a real big driver is we're all so mobile at this point, and we've all got these little devices in our pockets and in our bags, whether it's a tablet or a phone. And I don't know when the last time you tried to really read a website on an iPhone or on an Android phone. It's very small, even if you've got it optimized for mobile. But what still looks great on a small screen is a video. So you can very effectively communicate your message and your information and connect to your audience on the fly on their mobile devices. So I think that's another big driver for why you're going to see really the pressure for everyone to get into the video end of their marketing.
I enjoy doing videos. I do have some videos on. I think I have about 3 videos on YouTube, but I'm very comfortable in front of the camera, and it's funny because I never would have thought that. I was always, when I was a kid, I was always the shy kid, and I kind of, stood in the background, and I did well in school, and I kind of took everything in. But now I feel like I really have a powerful message to send to the world.
Yeah.
And I just love, I just love videos. It's fun. It's fun.
It is fun. Although, and that's a real plus, that you have working for you. I mean, clearly, I think you've hit the nail on the head that when you're really passionate about something, you really almost can't help but want to communicate to as many people as you can. But, of course, many people are really quite petrified about the concept. And I am always scratching my head because I think it's based on a real fundamental misunderstanding of what you're actually doing. I think people, when they look at a camera, they immediately equate it with public speaking. And we all know the research is done over and over again about people's worst fears in life, and top of the list is often public speaking. I mean, people would literally rather die than have to stand on stage in front of a group of people and worry about making an embarrassing mistake. And so I think the minute they step in front of the camera, they have that association without realizing that the beautiful thing about video, unless you're doing it live. If you're on live television, then yes, you are doing public speaking right in front of the audience. But in most cases, you are in 100% control because you're running a camera that's just recording things. You don't like it, you delete it, and you do it again, and you edit it, and you clean it up. So by the time you're done, you're going to have the perfect presentation that you're going to put out, and no one sees it until you're ready for them to see it. So I am out there pounding the pavement, getting people to understand that you need to be comfortable on camera because there's no reason not to be.
Yeah, and you get your confidence from your knowledge. If you're very knowledgeable about a subject, then there's no reason for you to be nervous. I mean, I did a cooking demo for Cento Foods. That's actually going to go up online very soon.
Terrific.
But I have to admit, I was a little nervous when I got there, but once I got in front of the camera, something happened. Something happened inside my brain, and I love talking about health and wellness, and I love teaching healthy cooking classes too. So, I was really happy with the outcome, and I've done a lot of different radio interviews as well. So there's so many different ways to kind of get
and I think that's
out.
part of the secret. I mean, what you and I are doing right now is something that people can learn from as well. I mean, one of the easiest ways to get comfortable on camera is to forget about the camera and to have someone interview you about your expertise. I mean, you're in a business, all of us are in a business of some kind and have some kind of expertise. Otherwise, what are we doing? So all day long, you're really speaking to customers and clients and patients about what you do. It's really no different. So if you can get someone to ask you questions and interview you and just talk to them the way you would talk to anyone else, you can create compelling video, because it really is the information and your passion for that information that people want to see and hear and learn from. So there's no need for people to become professional actors or to have to even figure out how to get comfortable staring right at the camera and doing that, because that really is a whole different skill set. I mean, some people are just not going to be comfortable doing that, but you don't have to be. You can do interviews, you can do other forms of video as well. I mean, I'm a fan for most professions getting the person on camera, but you don't have to. I mean, you can do voiceover work, you can do, audio over PowerPoint. Not my favorite way to do it, but it can be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many different mediums, and look at the society that we're living in. You need to get out there and do videos and do all these things, or you're going to fall behind. You're going to lose business.
Well, that's
Other
the thing.
people
I mean,
are going to take advantage of that, and they're going to gain the business. So you have to. It's not an option. You have to do this stuff.
You're so right. I mean, it doesn't matter if you've built the. If someone out there has the cure for cancer right now, and we don't know how to find it, then it's as if it was never found, right? It's right. Irrelevant. I mean, you can be the best person at whatever it is that you do, but if I can't find you and understand that you are the solution to the problem that I have, then it's just been a waste of time to kind of get there. So we do have to get found. It is a very noisy world. And we have to find a way to get our message through all that noise and get found. And we're talking about some really great strategies for doing that right now. So, create content in whatever form you can, get it out there, share it, publish it on your own blog, be a guest blogger on other people's blogs, use LinkedIn to find people who are, writing in different publications and they need content, right? I mean, so the magazines that you mentioned, I mean, they want writers, and so they want you to come and create content for them, and it's a win-win.
And you mentioned, before, where can I get found? And one thing I did not mention, and I'm really excited about, I'm getting my own health and wellness radio show.
Excellent.
And I'll tell you how that came about. As I said, I'm working with different CEO advisory groups, and one of my contacts, he said that he was a producer for a radio show, and he wanted to know if I wanted to be on it as a guest. So it's OC Radio. They're based out of Orange County. And I said yes. So 20 minutes, the interview was only supposed to be 20 minutes. Well, it lasted an hour. And at the end of that conversation, the producer, it was a different producer, but he texted the host, and he said she needs her own radio show, preferably on our channel.
There you go.
So the next day, the producer actually called me. He said, I don't normally call guests. He's like, but, we've been wanting to do a health and wellness show for a while, but we have not come across anyone who had the expertise that we're looking for. He said, would you be interested in doing this? So we're in talks right now. So I'm really excited about that. That's a chance for me to reach a lot of people around the country. So
yeah, no, that is terrific. And again, it's another example of the fact that these platforms are out there, whether it's the way you just got discovered and it's a radio show. There are any number of online radio programs like Blog Talk Radio. But every one of us can literally create our own sort of radio station simply by, creating a podcast show that you're publishing out. I mean, iTunes provides a free platform. A lot of people don't seem to realize that it's free to stream your episodes right to iTunes, and people can subscribe and get every episode as you publish it if you're a podcast kind of fan. Your blog is your own newspaper / magazine where you can build a following and publish right away. All of these things are available to us. Can you get technologically overwhelmed? Sure, but you said yourself you're not exactly the world's biggest tech geek in the world, and you're doing these things. You're figuring this out.
I'm definitely not the biggest tech person in the world, that's for sure.
And you don't have to be, right? Because you're doing it by networking and getting connected to people who open these doors and do it with you, essentially. I mean, there are joint ventures. There are people who obviously you can turn to provide a service to do these things for you. But all of this is available, and it's a fascinating time in history because it's never been available. I don't think people really appreciate the amazing changes that are taking place. I mean, we're living in sort of the multiple equivalent of the invention of the printing press or movable type or any of these things, but we've got it all at our fingertips now. And it's a matter of figuring out which tools you want to use, which channels you want to build your platform with. But you need that platform, and you're doing it in lots of great ways. So we've got a radio show coming up. We've got articles that you write. You've got a book up on Amazon.
With more to follow.
Did I miss one? So you're doing lots of great stuff. So it's about continuing that, and in the context of our conversation, this is about people being inspired and following in your footsteps and doing this stuff. Let's get people out there communicating their message, finding their audience, because I'm getting to the point where I'm almost going to make the argument that marketing is your moral duty, because if you really have a great solution and somebody else is out there with the problem that gets solved by your solution, don't you kind of owe it to your audience to get found and get connected?
Absolutely.
So I think being the best kept secret is actually kind of a weird sort of selfishness. So we've all got to get out there and find the right people and get connected and be passionate about it.
And, I think it's a great time to be a business owner, because there are so many different mediums at our disposal to do just what you mentioned. So
yeah. So there you have it, folks. I mean, you should be out there doing this stuff. I really appreciate you taking the time, Ramona, to join us here. So if you're looking for great nutrition information and figuring out how to use food as your medicine, well, you now know where to go. You can go to wellnessbyramona.com. You can head over to Amazon and do a search for Health Coach's Guide to Heart Healthy. Did I miss part of the title there?
No, you got it.
Okay. And, you can obviously contact us and we'll connect you to Ramona if you forget any of that stuff. So this is Dr. Marc Kossmann, and Ramona, I appreciate you being our latest Business Spotlight interview.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.